Like, this is a book that I cannot listen to at 2x speed because there is so much good information that just trying to listen to it too fast, you miss so much.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Champion Reads. This is your host and cast, Jon Kovach Jr. with Coach Willie Blake and Ian Stermer. I'm excited to bring them back on. It's another year and another list of books. Read. Yeah, I'm pumped. Like, this is fun. We're just getting started. We're just getting fired up. The last 100 plus episodes that we've recorded have been phenomenal. And I want to give it up to our team, Willie and Ian, for really taking the reins on this podcast. And I begged them, I asked them, I said, hey, can I lead off today? Because I just wanted to kick things off and throw it back to you guys, because this has been an incredible just experience. And yes, I am overly caffeinated at this point, but my normal enthusiasm is coming through because I tip my hat to thee, sir gentlemen, that this has been just such a fun experience. And we're going to kick things off with another great book. And again, for those of you joining us for the first time, or if you don't know much about our podcast, this is Champion Reads. We like to read bestseller books, incredible reads, and highly recommended works of literature that are usually in the nonfiction and self-help or motivational, even business and entrepreneurship challenge categories, because those are things that we're currently working on. And we're three dudes with opinions, and we like to read stuff. And we just like to get on here and share our opinions, our thoughts, takeaways. We turn these into motivational conversations. So there are takeaways, not just a bunch of, three guys talking about stuff, but we really do like to get together and focus on, like, what are takeaways that you as a listener can grab. And we also encourage you to go and listen to the books yourselves, to send us emails or comments online and let us know what your thoughts are, because while we have our own thoughts, you might disagree or highly agree with what we said. And for those who endeavor to read the books, to take our accepted challenges, and they change their lives because of it, let us know as well. We want to brag about you on the show. We want to talk more about it. And with all that being said, I also want to kick things off by sharing what book we're going to be talking about this month, and as well as just give my gratitude to our team and for all the work that they've done to bring this podcast to fruition and to accomplish what we've accomplished, because we're busy people. We have lives. We don't do this just like it's not easy to do what we do, is what I should say. And we've had times where I've been at airports. We've recorded episodes where, we've had to seclude ourselves in basements to get away from the screaming children at holidays. Like, we do this out of our own, free will and ability. But your subscription and your follower and any donations you want to make to the podcast truly go towards helping us put this together and get better at it, so that we can provide you better replays, better information, and better reviews on these books. But all in all, we're here to give you our thoughts, and we're literally selecting from the cream of the crop. So these are the best of the best books. And our opinions don't really matter, but we like to share them anyways. So we're here to inspire all of you as well. So let us know. But I want to just tee us off and just say, I agree. You guys heard a minute ago, Willie Blake saying, you just can't listen to this book on tape. You've got to read it. You've got to literally open its pages. And that book is called The Art of War. And I just wanted to show off a few of my copies, and I want you guys to show off your copies if you have them. But anyways, The Art of War. This is a classic. It's a great book. It's highly recommended among the intellectuals. I love it. Yes, there we go. It's highly recommended. I like the phone one. That's good too. I did put you under the gun on that because it is so packed with incredible knowledge, strategic ideas, And we're not in this book to start a war or to talk about war. No, it's funny how this book is so connected to strategy for both personal mindset, personal growth, goal setting, achievement, industry, and so much more. There's so many applications about this book that are worth reading and talking about, and that's why we're diving in. This is what I call my little pocketbook version, or my pocket Bible version. It's so cute. Its pages are gold. I also have a classic version which is equivalent to what you have, Ian, and what Willie has as well, The Art of War. And most of these are books that they go to the Chinese original version and they translate it themselves, and then they commentate or notate on them. That's just how incredible and awesome this book is. I also have this cool copy. It's called The Art of War Visualized, for the people who just don't understand it and they needed pictures. I needed pictures, so no shame in looking at different photos here, and you'll see some of those throughout our conversations. And then last but not least, because I have dozens of other copies in the house and I just don't know where I put them. This one's called The Art of War Strategic Puzzles, because who doesn't want to play and learn the principles at the same time? I love this book so much. It's been an easy gift for Christmas over the last few years for people to be like, hey, Jon wants to collect copies of it. And I know that you guys have various copies too. So we've talked about this book. We've thought about this book. I'm going to shut up for a second, and I want to tee you guys off, but I just wanted to say, let's talk Art of War. Like, what are your initial thoughts and takeaways about this book? We jumped into it, very little context, and as a bunch of 3 avid readers, let me know what your takeaways are, and let's tell the audience, like, what's going on? What are you learning? What is this book about, and how do you feel about it? I'll tee you guys up. Whoever wants to go first, jump right on in.
I'm actually going to throw it because I know that Ian is so big into like the art of war, the culture and everything. So I'm actually going to get this little ball, throw it right over to Ian to just drop some awesomeness.
What do you think, Ian? What are your takeaways initially from this book?
Okay, no pressure at all there. So reading through this, sadly, this is the first time I've read the whole book through. And this is one of those books that you hear about all the time. There's quotes from it all the time. And I had 2 ideas going through this. One is, this is a bunch of simple quotes and overgeneralized ideas that all sound nice for whatever. And the other is, when you examine these things and put them into context, especially if you start with a problem or an issue in mind, and then you take these things and you apply them to that issue, it brings a clarity, it's a deepness to it, and you could spend hours, if not days, on almost every one of the quotes in this book. And it all depends on your frame of mind. So, I'm the enemy in this book, and this book is determining how to best conquer me through the use of strategy. It really comes down to that one single word of strategy. And if I were to oversimplify and give a meaning of this book, it is, don't take anything for granted, but look and examine what is happening to understand what your goal is and what you can do, what action you can take based on the situation that it's in. And the book goes through situations we will probably never have to deal with. At least I hope I never will have to command an army in any sort of way. But it takes those same ideas. I just opened it up at the beginning, and there was a quote that arrive first at the battlefield and make the enemy rush to prepare for you. That applies so much to business, to life. Are you going to be first in your product getting out there, first in the way you approach something, so other people have to chase to get you? And I could go off on that whole thing, and there's books written just about that. And that's really what this book is. It is so packed. Every single sentence in it can be delved into to look at it and see what is the strategy behind it and how can I change my life. And I'm laughing as I use the word change because The Art of War has, of course, its counterparts, the Tao Te Ching, or the Book of Changes by Lao Tzu, which looks at a different side of ancient Chinese philosophy. But they all kind of wind together into what is the meaning behind something and what can we do in our life? Because we're the one who has to change in order to achieve the goal we have set. So there's my quick overview for that.
Yeah, and it's hard to like overemphasize planning without sounding like you're, beating the same drum, because planning, strategy, and really laying out a plan is like the foreground for everything. It's chapter one. It's connected in every piece of this stratagem. I think it's important to realize, like, one of my biggest takeaways too, building off of what you said, Ian, is when you lay down plans, you need to know, and like you said, I hope we don't have to face these dire situations, but like when you lay down plans, meaning when you start to strategize and look at everything from every angle, every decision in this book is a matter of life and death. We play games that are like war strategy games where we are willing to sacrifice, the pawn to let the queen or the bishop or the knight get past the defense in order to win the game, right? And chess references. But all too often are we willingly able to put pieces in the line of fire in order to get where we want to go. That's not the case when it comes to war. In fact, if we relate war to life, the art of war is doing your absolute best without losing a single life. And that's the hard part. Like, we've all heard the old adage of lose the battle to win the war. That's usually commonly used as a phrase when telling people like, oh, you're going through a hard time now, but you'll win the championship. You'll win, you'll get over this hump, right? And that's usually why we use it. But in the art of war, that's nonsense. That is terrible, terrible advice and not a great adage. Every life matters, because this is all a matter of life and death. And not to make extremes out of a gray situation, but it's important to make plans with the intent to win, and everyone wins around you. And that's kind of my biggest takeaway at the beginning of this book.
It's just so much value in this book. I love it. Because with that, like, I think about knowing your enemy. It first off, important. Don't lose a life. Like, that is like the art of war. You want to make sure that everyone on your side is good and that you win the whole entire thing. How do you do that? One of the things that it emphasizes is to know your enemy. It says that if you know your enemy but don't know yourself, in the long term, you're going to be good. But if you don't know your enemy and know yourself, in the long term, you're going to slowly go down and it's going to be bad. And then if you just don't know yourself or your enemy, like, you're just screwed in modern day terms. You're just screwed up. So how do you know your enemy? What does that mean? I think of those of you who are listening, who have ever like been on a sales call or had to do a sales pitch, it's going to the prospect and already knowing the biggest challenge that they have and you going and solving it. Like, if you know exactly what they're struggling with, all the presentations and pamphlets and papers and all the numbers mean jack squat, and you're just going to focus on that one thing, and that one thing is going to get you their business. So like knowing your enemy, getting the old adage, like the devil's in the details, like actually knowing exactly what it is, you're going to be good in the long term. So like, that's just the first thing, but there are so many things that we can go into with this book.
I just want to jump in and say, like, let's relate that to the readers or for the listeners for a second. Like, if you're starting a business, your idea isn't enough to get the business off the ground. It's important enough to create a plan, to execute that plan, but also to do your research, like know your environment. What are you going up against? What is the political environment? What's the legal environment? What's the just local environment, and how to plan around those things? Like, gather information, and not in a way to become paralyzed by the analysis of your environment. But knowledge is power, and having the power to execute and strategize with that life or death thought process. Fewer businesses would fail if they had a better plan, right? And half the plans aren't even written down, guys. You want to know why 60% of businesses fail within the first 3 months of starting? It's because people just have great ideas and they don't literally write them down. And same goes to people who set goals in their lives, not businesses goals or just goals in general. They don't write them down. And that's why most people don't continue after setting the goals, because they don't literally write it down like it's the 10 commandments, like etch it into stone, put it out there so that it's part of your being, not just an idea, right? It's kind of an interesting concept.
Yeah, that's I love that, because that's kind of the basis of this book. Looking at the history of it, the one I was reading initially made a joke that Homer didn't write the Odyssey. It was written by another guy with the same name. Master Sun probably didn't write The Art of War. It was written by another guy with the same name. There's a lot of question, did he really write it or not? And we can't answer that here. But a lot of these concepts had been around, and military leaders knew some of these things, but somebody wrote it down and put it in a book. And then people had it. Then there was a plan. And this is one of those books that literally changed the world, because when this book was written, warfare was changing. Prior to this time, war was conducted in China by noble families, and the equivalent of the Knights of the Round Table would go out in battle, and they would have armies of a few thousand. This gets into the Warring States period, where now they became to have peasant armies, where they would be conscripted in, and you'd have armies. There's some apocryphal numbers in there, but of hundreds of thousands going into battle. And like Jon was saying, now you're caring about the people who are there. And Sun Tzu writes about this. You can't just send people in. The good commander has to care about the people that are going into battle. And the people going into battle have to have respect for the commander in order to be successful. And when we put that into modern times, we're in a new time of digital marketing and online businesses, where the customer is not the same as it was, where you just put your product in Kmart and that was it. The whole world is changing around us, and the strategies change. And we need to be able to look at those strategies and say, how does this apply to my situation right now? And I love that about this book, because through the analogy of warfare and the changes that were going on in Sun Tzu's time, we can look at that in our time and say, what changes? How do I need to change my way of thinking to adapt to the current enemy, which could be success or competition or whatever it may be?
Yeah, here's a cool example too. I'm on a new volleyball team. Okay, I'm playing a little indoor while it's still cold outside. I can't play much of sand volleyball at the moment, and I'm on an indoor team. So there's six of us. And last week we got crushed, just jumping into a recreational league. And I thought, hey, you know what? I think knowledge is important here. Let's just do some strategy and just talk it through. And so I went to ChatGPT, because ChatGPT knows everything about volleyball. And I asked some questions, and I plugged in some of our players, and I just talked about, like, where should we line up? What should we do? And it basically came down to this idea that, all right, so I need to teach my team that if we were all strung together by one string, like, I don't have the budget or plans to do this at any case, but if we were all connected by a string, and two blockers go to the net and block a swing, or whatever it's called, a spike, where all the other four players need to be in order to cover defense in case the ball gets free. And if two people on a string tied together move to one direction, what does that do to everyone else tied to those strings? It pulls them in a direction. So they have to fill a lane, but also be pulled somewhere. And the worst thing that could happen is that one of your teammates is just standing there, just waiting for the play to happen. That's the worst possible scenario. But instead, if we all move together like a cohesive unit, we'll be able to make the play. Anyways, that was more about volleyball than any of you ever wanted to know. Kind of a cool visual though, because if we're all connected, we have a play and we have the ability to cover our weak spots. And thinking about everything you guys just said, I was thinking about like, okay, well, in life, what is the best defense? Well, the best defense is a well-planned offense, because you got to know how to attack without losing your front line. And then the best offense is really knowing and understanding, tips to what Willie was saying earlier, is knowing what defense you're playing against. And so this was kind of a strategy I came up with for my volleyball team on how to, just play better and to win more points and ultimately win more games. But in life, this is so adequate and so relatable, because it could be like your next entrepreneurial project, right? Whatever you're working on, or it could even be at like your work in your office. The best offense is knowing what defense you're up against. Well, when you have a problem come up in your life or your work or whatever, it's evaluating what that challenge and problem is and knowing how to work around it. You don't go through a stopped barrier in the road that's going to destroy your car, right? You have to find ways to either reroute, go around it, or find the best ways to navigate it. And the best defense is a well-planned offense, in that you focus on really mastering your plan from the get-go, knowing exactly what it is that you want to be doing or achieving, and using that as an opportunity to accomplish those goals quickly. And I think that's a really fun way to look at just the big perspective of these principles.
And going along with that, it's the best defense. If we were to like apply that to starting a business, then it would be knowing your plan, but not just knowing your plan, but like the defense part of people and time coming in, you just trying to like negate it, of having to reply to emails, having to get on client calls and sales calls. It's like, if as you are starting, trying to get leads in, and you're just consistently like trying so many different areas. Whereas like a well-planned offense is, you grab your phone contacts, you grab your email list, and you grab your social media followers, get those three lists, put them together. You have 1,000+ contacts, and then you start reaching out to people. That way you don't have to go on the defense and go to different companies and they're sending you a bunch of leads that may or may not be working for you, and having to pay like $3 for each of them. Rather, in your little device you have right here, you might have hundreds of leads to where you can just send a message being like, hey, I just started my business, and these are the people that I help. This is the problem that I solve, and this is how I do it. Do you know anybody who would fit in that? And you send that to everybody that you have. You're going to get so many referrals, and then you don't need to worry about spending money on leads when you already have the leads. And that's just one example of like going on the offense. It's actually taking the initiative. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the great books by Stephen R. Covey, is one of his habits, being proactive. It is actively engaged. It is going out and doing it. It is creating and taking the action rather than just letting life happen to you. So many times do we let life happen to us that if we want to actually have a good defense, we start doing, we start moving. Because as we do, everything else that we had to defend for, all of a sudden gets taken care of. If we're out there making money, all of a sudden we get to provide for our family, and our kids are fed, and our wife gets to have umpteenth Amazon boxes showing up at the door, and we don't have to complain about it, right? We don't have to have those hard conversations. When we actively go and we're just on the offense, it is such a great defense. And then obviously to be able, like, sometimes when the best offense is knowing what the defense you're playing against. It's being able to know. And again, going against like the enemy, going against what we have. A great strategy is appearing as the opposite. So like if we are strong, appear weak. If we are weak, appear strong. Appear the opposite to everybody else, because when you're that way, you're just crushing it. Art of War.
Love that. Yeah, well, actually, I love your Amazon example. We just had the Amazon driver stop by yesterday because there were no packages, and he just wanted to make sure we were okay. But as you were talking, it just, and again, so much of this could be a trite phrase, but it has so much meaning in it. I just thought, knowledge is power, and having the knowledge of what to do can be more important than having the ability in some ways. As we all love pop references, and sometimes mine more obscure, but the great TV show Remington Steele, Pierce Brosnan's first foray, I think, into television. Great one to look at. But the premise of the story is there's this great detective who apprentices and has all the skills, but she's a woman, and this is in the 80s, so no one pays attention to her. She puts out her shingle, no one comes to hear or to hire Laura Holt detective. So she takes strategy instead and creates the name Remington Steele, a very masculine name, puts that name up there, and people start lining up around the block to hire her because they think she's something different. The idea of strategy, knowing what you're doing, knowing how to take those contacts in your phone that Coach Willie's talking about and apply them to your business, knowing where your strength is and how you can use that strength to overcome other weaknesses. I don't have money to buy leads, but I have names in my phone. Let's use that strategy to do it. Let's find where my strength overcomes my enemy's weakness. And again, the enemy might be a competition person or company. It might be a challenge we face. One of my enemies is doom scrolling on my phone. So if I'm going to sit down to do some work, maybe my phone is not in the same room as my computer. Therefore, I have conquered my enemy through the use of strategy and placing my enemy in a place of weakness, aka my bedroom, as opposed to the place of battle, aka my desk. So it's really taking time to think about it. Use the knowledge. Don't react, but find the action to take ahead of time. Write down your goals. Plan out your goals. Plan out your strategies. And we haven't really got into quotes from this book, but they can be applied to so many situations beyond war. They make it worth reading and feasting upon this book. It's not a casual read. It's not a 2 times speed audio book. I tried that. It's not working. It's a book to study over and read 3 sentences a day and think about them and learn.
Yeah, you literally could just pick up any page of this book and really or dive into the context of everything and get so much out of it. And you could, treat it like you would scripture and read it once a day throughout the year, and still like it'll consume your thoughts and give you so much to think about. I'm going to open it up one last time for final comments, but I want to ask each of you, as we will either do another episode or another 2 episodes. We typically do 2 to 3 episodes per book that we read, but we'll just see how we feel moving forward. But I do want to ask each of you to answer the question, and then I'll preface it so you have a second to think about it. Is what are you looking forward to thinking and learn? Or what are you looking forward to learning as you proceed to finish this book? So think about that. But as we kind of like bring this to a close, I'm inspired by this book, and I just want to say it, like, we are living, and I know that I live in the United States of America, so this does come from a place of, I guess, privilege and a place of just understanding that things aren't like this everywhere else in the world. So I do understand that. I'm not blind to what's going on in the world, but I do want to say, because we don't go into that topic on this podcast, but I do want to say, like, because wars have been fought and wars have been both won and lost, before our time and during our time. These are the things that we don't, as normal citizens, that we don't have to think about. These are things that we don't even have to look at or think of. But this is why the beauty, the prestige, and the classicness, but like the importance of this book is it's called The Art of War. It's a concept and concepts that we as regular civilians can learn and study from and choose to use that knowledge however we will in our lives, as if we were conducting the plannings of winning the war of our business or our lives or our relationships or whatever they might be. Okay. And so that's the context here. I think that's important to know. So as I answer my own question and say, I am most looking forward to learning something new and understanding a little bit more of the technical strategies when you are backed into a corner, when you feel like you've been stuck for a while. That's always been my topic in keynote speaking. I'm looking to dive deeper into my understanding of my own interests and what I teach from stage, and to learn how to get out of a stuck situation when things are looking dire. I'm looking forward to finding that within the text this go round of my read of Art of War. How about you guys? What are you looking forward to learning and finding among the text as you finish this book?
Sorry, as we were debating who was going to go next. I had something all set, and then you said, what am I looking forward to learning? And I guess as I study more about this, there's another perspective. You talked about war, and obviously war is not something that's happy or cheerful, and hopefully we can be rid of those in the world at some point in the future. But a great thing about this book as well is his idea of war is to win as quickly and easily as possible. And that involves not hurting as many people. Compare that to, Genghis Khan and the Mongols, or the Viking berserkers, whose goal was to just slash and burn and kill and lay waste to as much as possible. He looks at this in a much more humanistic way, that if we can use strategy to quickly overtake the enemy and use deception instead of swords, use strategy, use other methods to avoid a conflict, and win through peace, win through positioning, win without having to cause pain and suffering, is a great part of this. And I think I was put off by the title The Art of War sometimes, because I worried about, I don't want to be this cruel, vicious, ruthless guy. This is not Machiavelli's The Prince. This is tied into Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, more so. And using those strategies to, again, recognize what is our real goal. It's not to vanquish somebody, it's to accomplish something, whether uniting a kingdom or defeating an evil lord or whatever it is. Put that into perspective of how we can do better in our lives, and apply these strategies to avoid pain, to avoid problems, to avoid war, to be honest, to win war by avoiding war. And I love to see this side of it. So that's something I'm looking forward to putting more into perspective as I reread it.
And I would say for me that it's a question I haven't thought about, which is crazy, because I'm usually just like, what's my intention? What do I want to get out of this book? And I haven't asked that about this book. But for The Art of War, what I want is something that Ian mentioned earlier, which is that he put, I don't know if it was a joke or not, but he put himself as the enemy and learning how to beat that enemy, or like his alter ego, you could say. That's what I want out of this book. I want to be able to, one, know who I am more and how I can stop being at war with myself. And then two, how I can make it easier to move forward, so that the wars that we have to face, the dragons that we have to slay, the armies that we have to go through, or in simpler words, the pain that we have to move through to progress, how I can do that easier. And that's my intention for the book.
Excellent. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts. And I love it. I love how this episode was, hey, what are takeaways? And we went into the thick of some of the principles that are really on our minds. And I think that just shows how much this can bring out the individuality, the relativity of what is in your world and what you're thinking about. So I think this is powerful stuff. So go grab the book, The Art of War, read along with us. Let us know your thoughts as you listen to ours. And we're excited to share that with you. Whether we do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes, hope not. let's read some other books. Definitely want to dive deeper into this one more time at least, and to focus on it with you guys. This has been another awesome episode of Champion Reads. I'm grateful for our hosts and co-hosts, Coach Willie Blake and Ian Stermer. Thank you for running the show, for bringing it such fun and lightheartedness, as well as we will get ready to give The Art of War our own score at the end of this, not this episode, but as we get to the end of reading it and expressing it and talking more about it. And with that being said, if you would like to learn more about us, you can go to mychampionscircle.com. This podcast is brought to you by Champion Circle. It is sponsored and created through Champion Circle, which gives us a great opportunity to I guess reach a greater audience and to teach you through the level of intellect, reading, and challenges that we are a supportive group of individuals, professionals out there coaching and bringing people fast solutions to accomplishing their goals. And actually, you're looking at 3 of our main coaches, people who are able to help you accomplish those goals. We are proud members of the Champion Circle team, and we're here to assist you with your goals, especially as you're striving to accomplish something big in the year of 2026. So let us know how we can help you. And if you're listening to this and it's like 10 years down the road and it's 2036, please still give us a call. We are here to help and serve you through so much more. And that's our goal and purpose. So we look forward to having you on the next episode as we talk about The Art of War Part 2 in our next series. So thank you for joining us. This has been another successful episode of Champion Reads.